Call meeting to order. Shelley, can you do a roll call, please?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. District 1, Councilman Rios.
Here.
District 2, Councilman Pastor.
Here.
District 3, Councilman Leeson.
Present.
District 4, Vice Mayor Stapleton.
Here.
District 5, Councilman Gonzalez.
Here.
District 6, Councilman Shipley is excused. Mayor Camaros.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Shelley. Chief, can you lead us in the invocation?
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful unto Thee for those blessings that we enjoy. We're grateful for those individuals who serve and dedicate their time to the city and to ensure that our residents are protected and have the services that they need. We're grateful for this body and for the dedication and the time that they put in, and ask Thy blessings upon this meeting, that it may be conducted in a manner that be pleasing unto Thee, and that the decisions will be those that will be of benefit to our community. Please watch over and bless those who are in need, who may be mourning at this time. In these things we pray. Amen.
Mariano, can you lead us in the pledge, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll start with summary of current events, and council members, Mariano, we'll start with you down there.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to compliment that little town over the hill where I grew up, town of Miami. It's about a wonderful thing that happened just recently over there. They opened up their pool again. And after a long hiatus, it's back in service. And kids are enjoying themselves in Miami. I remember listening to Beach Boys music and dancing in the water when I was a kid. That's our job here, to provide amenities to our citizens. So tonight, just want to compliment all of the workers and the town council for the town of Miami. Great job. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mariano. Freddie?
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to give a shout out to our Public Works Department. It's been a few days ago, maybe a week or so ago, I was just kind of cruising through town, and I made my way up to the dog park and that whole area up in there. And I was really impressed to see how well the dog park is shaping up. From the last time I went, it just, there's so many more things there, and just not just the dogs getting along, but the people just kind of mingling, sitting on a bench, talking. It was really nice to see a group of dog lovers get together like that on a nice evening, and just kind of enjoy each other's company. So kudos to everybody, the Public Works Department, and also this council for expensing the things that were needed to create that dog park. I remember it was just a plain dirt lot, and you go up there now and it really looks very, very nice. So, thank you.
Thank you, Freddie. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Today I had the pleasure of running into a couple of my fellow county employees, and both of the ladies had been to our aquatic center this morning. One was doing laps and the other one was doing, I want to say yoga, but I know it's not yoga. Aerobics. And they were really pleased with our setup out there. They were happy with it. They said, you guys did a good job. So, for us.
Jesse?
Mayor, I don't have anything, thank you.
Mike?
And I have nothing tonight, Mayor.
Wow.
I know, other than I'm enjoying retiring.
There you go. I have a few things. First, I want to recognize our Linda, is our first meeting as the Assistant City Manager. So good luck tonight, and it's a different seat to sit in.
Very different from the back.
I also want to recognize my council members also. At the League of Cities, they were awarded their certificates or plaques for time served. Fernando Shipley was awarded 16 years as council. Mike Staple and Vice Mayor Stapleton was awarded 12 years. And myself and Freddie Rios were awarded our 8-year certificate for serving on council. So they and they begin those timeframes with, at the 8-year time, and I can't remember what Stan Gibson is, was it 30-some years or?
He's a lifer.
Yeah, he's a lifer there, and he has many, many years. It's unbelievable how much he's served. I want to remind everybody, we do have a community cleanup this weekend, September 13th and 14th. There is some flyers that are in the back or around, and make sure it's on Facebook also, where you can take your trash. There are 4 different locations, and some locations will take the metal appliances, the tires, and the furniture, electronics, and batteries. And I think that goes up at the dog park, is where those are. Make sure you take those up there. Everything else will be, you can take to the other dumpsters that are there. Also, comment on the pool in Miami. It's great to see that open. I also swam there as a kid. Do want to congratulate the town of Miami, but also want to recognize the funders of that. And Brian's here, and Resolution Copper was part of the funding for the repairs and upgrade, and Cobra Valley Community Regional Medical Center also made that happen possible with their funding. So congratulations to the town of Miami for that. And I want to invite everybody on September 26th, my council, hope everybody can make it. It'll be the state of the city. It'll be out front here. It'll be from 5 to 7, from 5 to 6. We will have vendors here from the Hill Street School project. We'll also have vendors here from the Marigold Village, the new housing project that hopefully will begin in 2025. We'll also have the 2 helicopter companies, Native Air and Banner Air. As you know, we purchased memberships for all residents in the city of Globe so that you're covered if you're flown from Hale County, that it does not cost you anything to be flown out of our area. So those are the 2 responders to the area. So they'll be here. Also, APS will be here. There's some big benefits for seniors. Depending on what your income is monthly or annually, you can get 25% up to 60% off your APS bill. So they'll be here to explain that also, because that goes along with also the Hill Street School. A lot of those people that may go in there are qualified for that reduction, but you also do if on your residents also. So they'll be here, you meet with them, and I'll do my speech around 6 o'clock. We'll have food here from Salinas, and we'll have a DJ, we'll have music. And
Actually, the food truck sold today, and so the food will be by Dre's Dogs.
By who?
Dre's Dogs.
Oh, Dre's Dog, okay. So we'll change that, okay. So come and enjoy it. We'll give you an update on where we're at right now, what has gone on, what the future brings, but I also want to reflect back into where it all began, you know, and it hasn't been a very long time that it began, 6 to 8 years ago, that really we put the plan in place, and really like to at least reflect on that so we understand what accomplishments have been made in that short period of time. So thank you. Melinda?
I need to play off of what Councilman Pastor said about our pool. We just started swim lessons on Monday, and we have 3 weeks, and they reservations filled up very quickly. We're full, so next 3 weeks we are doing parent and child swim lessons, and we're also looking at doing some adult swim lessons. So it's exciting to see our swim season extended. We're hoping to go to mid to late October. We're going to try to go to as late, of course, as the Globe High School's Tiger Sharks, and they'll be hosting a meet here soon. So we'll make that announcement when it happens.
Great. I did have one more thing, just for the public. Our Citizens Academy did begin last Wednesday. I was able to present there. We have a great group, and so it's going to go on for for 7 weeks, every Wednesday from 6 to 8. So in the future, if you ever feel that you want to be part of the Citizen Academy to learn more about our city, please get a hold of us. We have those annually or semi-annually all the time. So thank you. We have our first community call to the public. Do we have anybody? I have no card for call to the public. Do we have anybody online?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, So we'll move on to special presentation and ceremonial matters. And item A is presentation by First Things First for community support in early childhood. And we have Veronica Gossett, Community Engagement Coordinator.
Good evening, thank you, Mayor and City Council. My name is Veronica Gossett. I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator for the First Things First regions of Gila and San Carlos Apache. So just thank you for having me here and allowing me to speak. So quickly, I'm just going to go over who First Things First is and what they do. So First Things First actually is Arizona's early childhood organization. We have a focus of young children, birth to 5 years old, and it started out in 2006 as a voter initiative. Parents said, we want more parent supports, more quality early learning experiences for our youngest kids, and then healthier kids. So it was voted in by a landslide. First Things First advocates through community engagement coordinators like myself across the state. They consult with the community through regional partnership councils. And let's see, First Things First lobbies through government affairs at the legislature and funds local programs and strategies that help our youngest kids get to kindergarten day one healthy and ready. Oh, I'm waiting for somebody to click.
And it's you.
Yeah.
So we're currently working to engage business communities, local leadership, and workforce development. As it stands, 60% of our young children in Arizona live in households where both parents work. We have a quote from the president of the Arizona Chamber of Commerce talking about childcare being the key to solving many of Arizona's workforce challenges. Arizona works when childcare works. The impact of insufficient childcare to Arizona's businesses has led to increased cost, less options, workers missing work, quitting their jobs. This leads to a heavy toll on working parents, employers, and state revenue. A report from Ready Nation in December of last year states that Arizona loses $4.7 billion annually due to the child care crisis. Locally, the child care crisis has hit our communities hard. We have about 920 young children, birth to 5, that have both parents working in the home. We have less than 200 child care slots in the community with the recent loss of the Miami Head Start. We see desperate parents posting on Facebook for anyone to watch their kids, and this is a dangerous move for young children. We're down to Little Vandals in Miami, Copper Rim, and 5 licensed home care providers. Our economy cannot grow or thrive without more quality, dependable, affordable child care. Child care should be a part of our infrastructure of any community and is necessary as part of the economic development. %48 of Arizona is considered to be a child care desert, meaning that there are 3 or more children per available slot. Child care challenges, again, cost $4.7 billion annually for Arizona. Quality early learning leads to a more qualified workforce later on. The cost of child care has outpaced inflation 6 to 1. The cost for infant care, if you can find it, costs more than in-state college tuition per year. The child care system is a broken system, and parents and families, they simply cannot pay more. We need more investment on every level to help families and our economy to thrive. everyone in here tonight within the sound of my voice, you are all trusted voices in our community. The voice of leaders like you are crucial. When people hear a message from a trusted messenger, it's actually 10 times more effective than paid advertising. We need your help in facilitating action-oriented conversations with businesses, government leaders, and other organizations to raise awareness and increase business engagement. I'd like to focus on some of the things that you're already doing. Councilmember Shipley is on the First Things First Gila Regional Partnership Council and has been for some years. He actively speaks out about the importance of the early years and quality early childcare. City of Globe recently hosted a Zoom session for DES childcare for anyone interested in becoming a licensed childcare provider. Linda Odinetto and Melissa Steele recently joined the Southern Gila Child Care Crisis Task Force and brought forward wonderful ideas and planning on the release of the RFP for Globe Head Start to become a child care for the community. Mayor Gameros giving us a great validator statement, as you can see here, and speaking out to take our local child care information and share that all the way up to the state level to Congressman Gallegos. Thank you for all you all are currently doing, and we ask that you continue to keep the child care crisis in the forefront of your conversations. Maybe even put it into policy for new businesses to have a child care plan or policy for their staff. Our communities work when child care works, and that's the bottom line. Our government affairs team at First Things First created this child care cost calculator. It's a very simple calculator. You populate it, and it gives you an estimate of your direct and indirect losses caused by child care issues. There's the QR code. It's also on the business sheets that you all have. There's 2 QR codes on the back, one for the calculator, and then the other one is a take action page. Let's connect. We need you to help advocate, help facilitate local presentations to groups you're a part of. Share materials in your businesses. Give us statements of support like the mayor did, and inviting us to your events. My business card is attached as well, and I'd just love to hear from you. See how we can partner to support our parents and young children in our community. What we have in the works right now is the Southern and Northern Gila Child Care Crisis Task Force. And that DES Zoom presentation is one of the things that came out of that. Thank you all so much. And do you have any questions?
Any questions or comments, Veronica? Mike?
You mentioned that the Miami
Head Start.
Head Start is closed.
It's
Now,
closed. They
weren't they-
said for a year.
Okay, they were using our facility.
Yeah.
Okay, they went back to Miami and disbanded, or did those people get absorbed by?
I'm not sure where the folks went. Okay, Carolyn, she is the regional director for Gila. Go ahead.
Okay,
I'm Carolyn Haro, and I'm the regional director for the Gila region. And the official word that we received from Pinal Gila Child Care Consortium was that they did not have enough workforce. So actually, one of the things that is that the task force has, they've developed action items that they want to start on, and one of them was doing the DES licensing. That has actually blossomed, and we may be doing a second one that has to do with how to run a business, how to make your childcare in your home a business. And so that may be the second one that comes out, and I mean, it may end up becoming a series, the way that they're talking about it. But one of the things that is on the list of action items is to grow our own early childhood educators and childcare force. And so we do have the idea of having a pipeline that starts in high school and would go through college to have early childhood educators that are qualified and able to do this. We are also looking at trainings for family, friends, and neighbors who may be watching their grandkids or maybe watching the neighbor down the street while they're at school, at work. So we are looking at multiple different things with that task force of how to approach this, and we welcome ideas. So if anybody has any ideas, please contact me and let me know what your ideas were, because we're willing to do the work. We're willing to go out and try to make things better and to bolster our system that we have in our community. We have some fabulous things here. We really do. And we have I tell people in Phoenix all the time, one of the best things about the city of Globe and the town of Miami is that we have a barn raising mentality. Mm-hmm. And when something needs to be done, we come together and we try to fix it. And that is one of our greatest assets that we have. So if anybody has any ideas or things that may have worked in other communities, please let me know and I will take that to the task force. I'm gonna stay up here in case there's any other questions.
Veronica, thank you very much for the presentation. You know, it's not only a local issue, it's a state issue, it's a national issue.
National issue.
And if we have a platform, we need to continue to voice our what we think should happen. You know, we had the discussion with Congressman Gallegos at the roundtables up here when he came. So I think it's not only at the state level we need to take it, but we need to take it to the federal level and just have those discussions. Because with unaffordable health care, it really affects all our economies and all our communities. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have the consent calendar. Matters listed under the consent calendar considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. Public hearing items are designated with an asterisk. Prior to consideration of the consent agenda, the mayor will ask whether any member of the public wishes to remove a public hearing item for separate consideration. Members of the council and or staff may also remove any item for separate consideration. Item A, consideration of waiver of section 2-4-10A prior discussion rule to allow the action on the balance of the consent agenda. 1, accounts payable, $2,492,603.02. B, consideration to ratify a letter of interest to request the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers provide follow-up design and construction assistance under Section 595 of the Water Resource Development Act of 1999, as amended to the City of Globe for the project partnership agreement to complete Apache Peaks water line replacement for a total request of $6,520,000. C, consideration to ratify a letter of interest to request the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to provide a feasibility study for the McCormick Wash diversion tunnel located in the City of Globe for a total request of $100,000. Item D, consideration to approve the Historic Preservation Advisory Commissioner recommendation for approval of a request to approve a new exterior paint scheme and awning for the building located at 150 North Broad Street. And item E is consideration to approve engagement letter number PS-2025-0105 with Colopy and Powell PLC certified public accountants for the fiscal year 22 single financial audit and annual expenditure limitation report. Do we have anybody from the public, the staff, or council that wishes to remove any of these items separately?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to bring 4D forward, take it off the consent agenda item and have a discussion.
Okay, yeah, because we have some speaker cards for that one too, so.
Yeah.
maybe- Yes,
I would also like to, pull, the accounts payable and have a short discussion about that.
okay.
After no other questions or comments, the motion to approve with item 4A1 and 4D removed.
Second.
Motion and second, approval of consent was read, minus items requested. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passed. So item 1, accounts payable.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. You know, this meeting's accounts payable was, grand total, I lost it, it was like $2.4 million, which is, abnormal for us. But the bigger part of that, 1.4 million is a pay down and a payment to the, PSPRS, which is the Public Service Retirement System. Some years back, if those of you that are not aware, I don't know, it's probably been 6-8 years ago, somewhere around there.
2014, 15.
That the state required, all the cities, municipalities to pick up that retirement plan, which, the state used to pay. So, kudos to this council and this mayor, decision was made to start paying down, that amount that was due. Although it's a lot of money, it's going to save the city taxpayers a lot of money down the road. And that's why we're doing this pay down. We're not only making payment that's due, but we're putting additional monies on top of that, to, eventually, pay off the debt that's due to the city of Globe. So, that's the reason for the PSPR's pay down. You'll see this, at least once a year from this body unless things change later. You know, I was, at the, Leagues and Cities meeting, conference, this past week. And there was a gentleman that is, from what I know and what I've learned, is pretty much an expert on this. And he works for another city in the valley. And he made it known that what we're doing, is going to be, it's gonna pay benefits and dividends down the road. So, kudos to the people in this council, in this chamber, and this mayor that, and city staff and managers that have taken on that task of paying down. It's painful now, but it's going to save the city money down the road. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Freddie. And I understand this is part of the 0.3% sales tax that you pay as purchases. So this 0.3, that's a 1.4 million, what equates to for the year, which is amazing. So it's being paid down by an additional 0.3 tax, but once that is paid off, our unfunded liability, then that 0.3 goes away from our sales tax revenue. So yeah, you're right. It's a good thing to do and get ahead of the game. So we have an approval for accounts?
If there's no other comments or questions, I motion to approve the accounts payable.
Second.
Motion second for approval of accounts payable. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion passed. So item D is consideration to approve historic preservation recommendation. Mike, you pulled that. You want to comment on that, or you just want a discussion on it?
Item D?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's obviously gonna be a discussion on it. The Historical Preservation Committee had some concerns about changing the color of some colors on the building itself. I sat in on their meeting, public meeting the other day, and there was some discussion back and forth. And, there was disagreement and agreement and everything. My concern is, you know, I walk through town quite a bit. That's what I do for my healing process. And, you know, early in the morning, you walk down the street and you look at the buildings and their facets and everything and the color combination and everything. It's just really blended. And my understanding is the owner of of the building wants to change right underneath the ivory base colors of under the windows, which if you look down the street, Broad Street, there are so many buildings that are the same color with that ivory color and everything. And if I understood correctly, the Historic Preservation Committee they did approve to change the coloring on that?
They did pass through a recommendation, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I would just, question that we reconsider that, I know there's a concern about the yellow part. I have a concern about it because it doesn't match anything up and down the street, but I don't know what the decision was by the committee. I don't remember the decision by the committee. But, and I'm sure Dana can probably give us some insight into it. He is there. Dana?
There he is.
Yes. Hi, Mayor, council members, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent, thank you so much. So in your staff agenda packets, you saw a staff report that included the recommendation from the Historic Preservation Advisory Committee from the meeting earlier this last month. On the screen, you have the proposed color scheme that was discussed with the applicant when they made application. The process is we tend to make exhibits because not a lot of people have a lot of technology access to prepare exhibits like this. So we work with them, what colors do you want? And it depends, some people do their own photo simulations and so forth. So anyway, in this situation, I worked with Ms. Milbury and came up with this color scheme in terms of selecting the colors that she wished for the exhibit for Historic Preservation Advisory Committee review and recommendations of the City Council. So as you can see, there's two things going on here. They propose to add an awning and then provide this Rocky Mountain red color tone to the trim, and then the Viva Las Vegas color to this body of this portion of the structure, which isn't necessarily an original feature of this building. And then it was to remain, as I understood it, starting that Historic Preservation Advisory meeting and my prior discussions with Ms. Milbury, that was the color scheme. I think you're aware, so during the meeting, it sounds like Councilman may have witnessed this. It was described to me that no, we're planning on doing more. I think Mr. Milbury actually said, no, we're gonna also paint, and so I created this exhibit in your staff packets of what the Historic Preservation Commission actually recommended, based on Mr. Milbury's request. So we went in, you can see the paint that was added without prior approval on the lower level, showing that Rocky Mountain red and the Viva Las Vegas on that corrugated material in the middle there. And then he also mentioned, on the upper story, I'd like to add the Viva Las Vegas over the windows in that round area, as well as the trim. And then the keystones over the trim would be the Rocky Mountain red color. So this variety of color, and then also this white portion here underneath that window would also be Viva Las Vegas. So staff went ahead and prepared a photo simulation of what that looks like. Now keep in mind, I will go back here and also show you that this is the proposed awning. Now, these are the awning colors that were given to me by them. It's actually the Sunbrella Jockey Red. It probably didn't translate well in the images that were provided when we photoshopped that onto the building. That said, there is a condition in that recommendation that staff is to view a swatch of that canvas prior to being ordered and applied. We want to make sure that it doesn't look this vibrant, right? It's more of that Sunbrella, more of that red brick matching kind of color, things to accentuate the existing historic nature of the building, which is the red brick for the most part, and those windows. Everything below that has some treatment of some sort and is moved away from the historic character of that building. So that said, This is what is being proposed to color the keystones. You see Rocky Mountain red in this color scheme to the best that I understand it, from our hearing in our meeting, at our last, Historic Preservation Advisory Committee. So with that, as you know, I can get into what staff's recommendation was, but this is what the proposal is, that you're considering this evening. With awnings, those umbrella awnings that will then be added.
Any other comments from council? I do have two call cards, speak cards.
Mayor, if I could, I'm a big proponent of letting somebody paint their buildings the way that they want to paint it, as long as they meet with HPAC and do the proper procedures. With that being said, it sounds like this applicant did start work, then they did have they had a stop work issued to them. They did go through the proper procedures, and HPAC, we sit HPAC there to give us recommendations. If HPAC thought it was going to be an issue, I think their recommendation would say this is not going to be good for us. I look at it and I don't see any problem with it. I think that it's updating an older building that maybe needs some updating to it. So that's my opinion, anyways, Mayor. Thank you.
I also attended the HPAC meeting, Mike was there also, and there was a discussion about the colors. I also don't have an issue with the colors, that are shown right there.
Yeah.
The only issue I have is what really the awning is gonna look like. If we really don't have a true color, if it's gonna be that red, it's gonna really throw everything off. I really believe that awning should be close to that darker, the darker color. If it's a red, it's really gonna make it stand out, but I don't have an issue with the color. I think it's I think in all our business people, commercial, need to understand there is guidelines. If you own buildings in the downtown historic district, there are guidelines you have to follow. You have to apply through the HPAC. HPAC is a group of volunteers that dedicate their time to make sure that we keep the integrity of our historic downtown looking proper. That's what it's about. That's why tourists come here. We need to make sure that we don't have just off the wall things happening to our historic downtown. That's what happens in Bisbee. That's what happens in Prescott, Jerome. You go to all these places, they preserve their downtown, and that's what and I really commend them. Our staff does a lot of work. Our zoning administrator does a lot of work to get it through the process. It's not an easy thing to get through. So I know that was a discussion about it. I think it's an education part that people need to understand. We do have building code, we do have fire code, and if you own a building in the historic district, you have other guidelines that you have to follow also. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with the color. I'd like to see the color of the awning before that is installed, because if it throws it off, I went and looked at the color. It looked fine. It's gonna hopefully force the buildings on either side to upgrade and do something with their buildings too, because they're a little bland too.
I believe the owners are here.
Yeah,
we
I
can
have
speak to the awning anyways.
speaker cards from them. Any other comments from?
I have some comments, sir, and it's an outsider type of comment. This is local control at its best, and we have defended local control at the state legislature. They have tried to give developers carte blanche in how they buy, sell, and develop new and used property. We fought very hard last year for that, and it may come up again. And they may put other caveats in there to the effect that, oh, well, you're a small community, you won't be affected by that. I still worry about it, because someday they will try to do that. Wresting away local control is what we're about. We've been fighting very hard across the board in all subject matter areas to alert the state legislature that we want to be left alone to control our own destiny. And this is one of those examples why. So I see the fight continuing, Mike. We're going to be doing that again sometime. But this is the example of boots on the ground control of our destiny. And we do the best we can with the committees that we have. And I applaud them for doing that. And that we intend to maintain the flavor, if you will, of our Globe downtown area. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mayor. So I do have Speaker Paul Mulberry, if you want to come up to the mic and state your name, you want to speak. Milbury, I'm sorry, Milbury.
Okay, my name is Paul Milbury. I'm here to tell you about the long, tedious battle we are having with trying to get our building at 150 North Broad Street painted and an awning installed. But first I have to ask two questions I have asked many times, many people, and I have yet to receive an answer. First, where is the incentive to buy a historical building in Globe and restore it? Second, where is the incentive to open business in Globe? I want everybody to think about these two questions while I'm telling you my story. On May 16th, 2024, I received 2 citations with 3 counts each. On July 16th, 2024, I appeared in court where 3 counts were dropped and I was ordered to show progress on the other counts and report back to court on August 20, 2024. To show progress, I started preparing 150 North Broad Street for painting and then started applying paint that was on the Globe approved palette list. On August 15th, 2024, I got red tagged and was told that I first needed to get approval from the Historical Society, HPAC. The problem with this that it created was that HPAC meeting was 1 day after my court date, so how am I supposed to show progress? Went to court on August 20, 2024, and ordered to reappear on September 2024 unless code enforcement drops the issue. Went to HPAC meeting on August 21st, where my plans were finally approved, but I couldn't start work until the plans were also approved by City Council. During this meeting, I also found out that new guidelines for historical buildings were approved in March 2023 and were supposed to be published and distributed to buildings and business owners along with real estate agents. And more on this later. Next City Council meeting was supposed to take place on August 27th, 2024, was canceled, so I had to wait 2 more weeks before possibly being approved. Well, today has finally arrived, and it has been 26 days since I've been able to touch my building. It's been almost 4 months since this Twilight Zone process started. 3 months of anguish over what? Paint, just paint. And I do want to go with historical colors. I mean, I want this place to be historical, and I don't know if the HPAC even has any old pictures of the building. I've got panoramics from 1908 and 1917 showing what the town looked like. Anyway, if the city wants to work with building owners, you should first have a conversation with them before citing them. A simple conversation would have led to the discovery that I already had started preparations for working on the buildings and citations were not necessary. Also, if the city had just published and distributed the new guidelines as was their responsibility a year and a half earlier, it would have saved a lot of grief and heartache. And why weren't these guidelines published and distributed? HPAC meeting, the excuse was lack of funds. But the city can funnel $400,000 to a $1 billion company for a $21 million project for 30 years without interest and without a payback schedule. Forgoing approximately $840,000 at 7% in potential interest income. Meanwhile, Main Street, where that amount of money might actually do some good, is ignored and gets nothing. The really sad thing is that my project would have already been completed if the city worked with me instead of just dragging me through this bureaucracy. At this time, I do not know where I stand with my contractor or the awning I contracted for. I also run a business. I have many other responsibilities. This process has eaten away the time I had budgeted for it during my slow months. And does anyone see incentives in my story? And my story by no means is unique. There's plenty of people I have conversations with that have problems with this. It all really comes down to one of two things. Does the city want to be a friend, or does the city want to be a dictator? I'd rather the city be a friend, but it sure doesn't feel like it to me right now. We should all be working together instead of wrestling through a bureaucratic morass. And if anybody's interested in having a conversation with me for more detailed insights, you know how to get a hold of me.
Any comments?
You own two businesses on Broad, correct?
Pardon?
You own 2 buildings
Yes.
on Broad, and you've owned one of them for quite some time, correct?
Yes.
So is HPAC new to you? Is Historic Preservation Authority, are they new to you? Is this a new process to you? at any
Yeah, it's a new process. It was supposed to have been out in March 2023, and during that meeting, they asked why, they said that the guidelines hadn't been distributed. One of the HPAC members went to Oak Realty and asked, do you know about this? He goes, no, I never heard of it. I asked my real estate agent, do you know about this? I never heard of it. Business owners I talked to, nobody's heard of it. It hasn't been passed around.
The reason an historic overlay is there is to keep the historic preservation of the community, as well as help you get grants. There's facade grants and different things that you can get at a federal level for historic buildings.
Well,
So this is something that we strive to try to keep an open, and we strive to be transparent, and this council does. And staff tries, and we strive very hard to be transparent. And so when I say this, I said it's as open as I can, it behooves the person that's buying a property to understand and do their due diligence when they buy a property, to understand what the ramifications are for that property that they buy. We can't go door to door to every home and every business and say, this is what you need to do, but we can have the processes available for you when you ask. And so that's what I can say to you now.
Okay, number one, none of that was in place when we bought both buildings. Number two, all it takes is a letter.
HVAC has been.
And nobody ever sent us a letter. We didn't know about this, and even they admitted during the HPAC meeting that they dropped the ball on this one.
Sure, the process.
It's communications. We should have meetings. We should have meetings here with the business owners. Come in, talk. What's going on? People don't know. People don't know.
It's also hard to get.
And they get conflicting information when they do try to find out.
Businesses are closed. It's hard to get a hold of somebody if their businesses are closed and they can't come into them.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Your businesses are closed, so it's hard for staff to be able to get a hold of you if your businesses aren't open every day.
Yeah, but that's what a letter's for.
Okay.
And I have to agree with Councilman Latham. I think you've owned a building or a business for over 10 years down there.
Yes.
And I think as you're saying, the business people talk, you hear everything. I'm sure you're aware of HPAC in the historic district. I don't believe that you didn't understand there was a process, and you were in dialogue already, or your wife was in dialogue with our zoning administrator on the process, and you still went ahead and painted it anyway.
That was
So
after the.
that
well,
isn't brought up in your comments, so I'm just telling you that you need to understand, if you own a building, we're not dictators, but we're in there to keep the integrity of our district, our downtown district, and there's a process for it. So as a business owner, you should make yourself aware of what's going on also.
Well, the city, would be nice if the city let us know and had meetings, and the process I was painting because the judge ordered me to show progress. So what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, and you're right.
And if they had come to explain to me after the citation, here, this is what you have to do, instead of giving me the citation and running off. I mean, just conversations. I mean, why does that have to be, have animosity? Just talk.
There is no animosity. I think it was just delayed because HPAC doesn't meet, they're volunteers. And we canceled one of our council meetings, that's why I delayed it, because we were at the League of Cities. So it all played into a process there.
But
So
as a business owner and wanting to work with buildings, how am I supposed to work around that if you guys can't be there on time? And the contractor thing, I mean, it's impossible. It's like the JCPenney. I can show you 14 different contractors I tried to get to work on that place. Half of them don't want to work in the city of Globe. The other half,
well, and again, those are your opinions, and we have other opinions that we hear also, okay? And you just need to make sure that both sides are heard, okay? Not just one side of your story. So, this agenda item is approval for the paint. Not really, we don't want to go down a rat hole or anything. So that's really what it is. What we're considering is a recommendation from the historic preservation, okay? I have a card from Virginia.
Basically, it is the same thing, but.
Wait till you get to the mic so they can hear you.
Okay, my name is Virginia Milbury. When we came to Globe in 2009, we fell in love with the town and its people. Before purchasing the building, we visited the city hall to inquire about the requirements for opening a business. We mentioned that we were buying the JCPenney building, and they only provided us with the application for a license. No one informed us about city codes, nor the title agency or anyone else. we saw a lot of vacant buildings. We dreaming of winning the lottery to renovate our building and help to renovate downtown. It's our dream. We are committed to renovate the building, to keep it, to maintain. We have done things in the building. We had installed new window in the front, was a plastic one, we replaced it. We put new windows in the back. Each year we patch the roof, and the most recent and significant expense, over $125,000 we paid, included a new roof, heating and cooling, new elevator house, and new gutters in the back. When we bought the Gibson building, no one mentioned city codes, neither the previous owner, the title agency, nor the city. Had we known, we may have reconsidered the purchase. We planned to open an antique shop, but the pandemic came. And as today, we haven't returned to normal, and we needed to address other significant expenses like what we just did. Our buildings are important to us as they are for the city, and we are committed to preserving and maintaining them. We have refinished the wood floor in Ortegas, or installed new heating and cooling systems, new windows, changed lights to LED. We intended to continue improvements at our own pace and within our financial capacity. We have faced challenges with construction companies. The ones we have contacted never follow through. They promised to take measurements and provide estimates, but never did. The most honest response we received was about long waiting lists, but even then, they never returned. Now we have a reliable contractor who completed our roof and air conditioning, and we are waiting for him to work on the awning. Was already in process, but he's doing other jobs. If code enforcement had communicated with us rather than issuing a court citation, much of this animosity could have been avoided. When we inquire about incentives for buying a business or opening a new business, buying a building, it seems people think we are asking for money, but that's not the case. All we seek is appreciation for our efforts. Our customers come from all over the board, and they come to local restaurants. They go to local restaurants and hotels. We should all be working together, and the first thing we need is communication. We are busy with our business. We don't have time even to read the newspaper. How are we going to know what's going on? That's my point. We don't have a communication.
Any comments, questions?
I just have a comment to both of you. I had a business downtown, and I opened that back in 2015. And I knew back then that there was a paint scheme. That's why the building I had was the colors that they had. They gave me a scheme, a color scheme, and I had to choose what colors I wanted to with HPAC and the city.
This is the first time we have that.
Excuse me, I'm talking.
Sorry.
So it's up to you as business owners too, to come to the city and ask permission on what you need to do. I did it, and I was just as busy as you guys were, if not busier. So it's not just the city telling you what to do. You guys have to communicate to the city as well. So we're not gonna take the blame, but there is a process and guidelines that you have to follow.
So the process
And that's the experience that I went through back then. So it's been around forever. It has, because I went through the same process.
It must, maybe, but when we come to the city asking for, we are saying we are buying the JCPenney building. Nobody says, you know, you have to maintain the front and do this and that. Nobody says that to us before. When we bought the Gibson building, if we knew it was part of the historical and has to be maintained and has to be painted the same color it was, we had never, in a certain time, we see the people working in the buildings, in one day go and paint the building. That building going to be needing another painting next year. And they charge a lot of money for the painting. Paul will do a lot better job than any contractor. Even we try. I saw the guy painting the building the marijuana dispenser used to be, and I went and thought, you know, I need to paint the cornices, and the guy says, oh, when the post comes, they give me the card. I have the card there. They give me the card. I call, I left a message. The guy called and says, I'll be there Monday or Tuesday. And I said, come on, I need to paint. And he says, yeah, I'll be there. Call me as soon as you come to Globe. He never called me. People is not reliable. I don't know if it's the type of business or what, but the people is not reliable. And now for the awning, for this building, we already pay half to our contractor to do the job. And we don't know. He says, I will put the permits in the city. And I'm waiting. And so I was in pressure because in court, the judge says, I need to see pictures that show different than this. So we try to do things different than what it is. And let's review next month. Okay. We go to review, we cannot show progress.
Well, go ahead.
I don't want to stop your conversation, but when you're done, I would just like to make a comment.
No.
Okay?
Go ahead.
Am I good?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so a couple things strike me as a little odd. There was a time back, and I was on this council, and I'm talking years ago, not a whole lot of years ago, but you know, at least 8 or less. And we recognized as a council that we needed to do a better job with our local businesses in being transparent with them, making sure that they understood what the processes were for new owners and things like that. I think, Linda, correct me if I'm wrong, did we not even create a packet for new business owners?
We did, and it's actually been published on the website since it was created, and the color palette was an added appendix that was approved by council after the guidelines were originally approved.
Okay, so, you know, things have moved. You know, you talk about in 2009 or, you know, when you first came into town, you know, we didn't have these things in place. And we learned quickly that we needed to knock down some of those bridges and those blocks, those walls that was making it difficult for businesses to come to Globe. Because, you know, we've made a commitment to be business friendly. And I know that it sounds like in this case, this is not the first time that this council has had to hear something about a color palette or an awning or something like that. But it does, in the historic district, it does have to go through a certain process. It's not like you buy a residential home somewhere and you just get a permit to, you know, to build or something like that. So, you know, the going back and forth about communication and having conversations, if I remember right, I'm gonna lean on you, Linda, again, but I think we have over 200 to 300 businesses in town.
Oh, much
more than that?
Yes, but as far as how we're improving, how we're communicating with these businesses, not just in the historic district, is we've introduced the PDM process, and that's a pre-development meeting. And so we did print and deliver to all of the real estate offices, all of the brokers, a copy of these guidelines, because that was a directive from mayor and council. And that was identified in an HPAC meeting that that would be done so that we can increase that awareness and transparency. And it was also delivered with a PDM application and one other, the guidelines, the business license application, so that we have a complete package that's going to all the brokers. But again, it comes back to, we're trying to help our businesses do their due diligence as well.
Right. So I guess what I'm trying to get to is the city has developed processes for businesses to help them, educate them, and guide them on what certain processes, whether you're in residential or commercial or in the historic district, things like that. And so it's hard for me to believe that this city is not communicating. Okay, I have a difficult time believing that we're not communicating. Now, in this case, did somebody drop the ball? Possibly, but that doesn't indicate that we're a rogue city. That doesn't indicate that we're not business friendly. That doesn't indicate that. It was a misstep. And you know, another part of communication, although it doesn't feel good, is when you get visited by the code enforcement officer. That is a form of communication. Okay.
Yeah,
And so I think, you know, through that, I don't know all the details here. I really don't. But I think that, you know, when that happens, if there's true dialogue between the two, the city and the owner, we probably would never get to this, in my opinion. So, I mean, we could sit here all night and say, this member didn't communicate, this business didn't communicate. And as Mayor said, you know, we're here to discuss the color scheme here. And I understand your frustration, I really do. It sounds very frustrating that you had to go through this lengthy process, and you're right. For what? Just to paint. Okay, I get that. I get the frustration. But I think, you know, I hope that it sounds like we've kind of gotten past all that. I think that you're in a position where, and we are in a position where we're able to move forward. And you have every right to voice your concerns and your frustration. But I just don't believe that any of this was an intentional hardship for anybody, okay? I have a hard time believing that.
When we say no communication, because instead of coming and say, hey, what are you doing? When you going to do this? She will know. We were already in the process. We already give advance for the owning. So it wasn't necessary to go to court. And there is penalties. And the court is asking, I want to see the picture different next
Well,
month.
again, ma'am, I can't speak to any of that. I cannot speak to any of that.
But that
You know,
was all-
I understand. And we could bring in the officer and have it go back and forth. I don't know that this is going to get us any further in this process. You know, there's officers in place that take care of that business, and it's the code enforcement, it's, you know, the court system, and the HPAC and things like that. So, again, I apologize that you had to go through all this frustration. I really do. It's not something that this city is advocating for. But again, because we are the keeper of the city, you know, we do have to go through some processes and procedures. That's just the nature of running a city business. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And we do appreciate your and your husband's comments. We'll take those really into consideration. Just remember that our staff is extremely busy also. They put in a lot of time. So I think it's accountability on both sides, the business side and the city side, that we need to be aware of what we're doing. You know, anytime you do something to a commercial building, you need to know that you gotta come to the city for a permit. whether it's building code, fire code, HVAC, whatever. So we understand, I think we beat it, pretty hard already, and I think we should move on and consider what the agenda item is, and that's a color scheme approval from recommendation from HVAC. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions or comments, Mayor, on that motion?
Good. Can I ask a question to Dana? Dana, are we voting on just the color scheme, or are we voting on the awning too?
Mr. Mayor, council members, awning and color scheme, and I can read you the, recommended,
There's a caveat.
or you can read the, recommended motion from HPAC, which includes provide that color swatch to staff prior to them, so we can do a color match and look at that and make sure it's
Okay.
And they're recommended.
I remember seeing,
similar
okay.
to the red brick or the red color here. Or
Okay.
the brick, one of those colors.
Okay, thank you, Dana. Sorry,
That's
just
stated.
go ahead.
Mayor, I motion to recommend approve item 4D with the caveat that they turn in that color swatch to the HVAC.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of item D with the turning in the color swatch for the awning prior to ordering, the awning. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passed. Thank you. We go into new business. Item 5A is consideration to approve to enter into contract number CS-2025-0090 with Matrix New World for project management, underground sampling, bioremediation, evaluation, and reporting in the amount of $28,997.21 for the underground storage tank remediation requested that the authorization be given to the city manager to sign the agreement upon review of the approval of city attorney and waive section 2-4-10A prior discussion room. And we have Travis.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Just give you a little background, just to kind of refresh your memories of what's going on here. Back in December of 1991, ADEQ assigned a LUST file number, LUST meaning leaking underground storage tank. They made a file in 1991, ADEQ created, because of the presence of various petroleum, hydrocarbonate compounds at concentrations above the levels of the threshold that they allowed when they did some soil samples. So throughout the years, there's been some remediation, mitigation efforts going on, but the last set of mitigation efforts occurred starting in 2020 when we were notified with I forget what it's called, but a notice to, we may have a contamination in the area. So they retested, nothing was contaminated in the underground storage, or underground water, but we are trying to mitigate that so it doesn't occur. So between 2020 and 2023, Matrix had put in the necessary equipment to mitigate and get rid of those vapors underground. And so last year in July of 2023, we ran out of the funding of the $1 million grant that we got to mitigate. And so things were put on hold. And since then, we got back in touch with ADEQ earlier this spring, early summer, late spring, early summer, and to see what we need to do to move forward to continue the mitigation. And so after conversations with ADEQ, we got in touch back with Matrix to see if they would be willing to come back and retest and provide us an analysis, an evaluation of what needs to be done to continue the remediation. And so this is what this contract is about. It's just to test the levels again, to see where we're at and to see, put forward a plan for us so we can then come back at another time to remediate what they're suggesting we need to do. So we are requesting to move forward with this contract so they can begin that testing. Be happy to answer any other further questions.
Travis, they pulled the tanks in many years ago then.
Yeah, the tanks were pulled, and I don't know what years they were actually pulled, but it's been a while. And so we've just been trying to clear the vapors out of the ground.
So, yeah, we didn't do a remediation of removing dirt though, we just pulled the tanks, I think, back then.
Correct. Yeah, and did infill.
Wow. And the grant ran out, is there any, possibility of additional grants for that?
Well, we're gonna look into it. We haven't found one yet, but, we are gonna look into it, but we wanna kind of see where, what remediation they're gonna be requesting and see what that cost is gonna be on an estimate that they provide us, and then we can go from there. It's gonna be about a 3-month project once they get started.
Okay.
3-month project to do the analysis, just to be clear.
Mr. Mayor, if there are no other questions or comments, I motion to approve item 5A as read and waive section 2-4-10A prior discussion rule.
Second?
Motion second for approval of item 6A and waiving the, 5A, I'm sorry. 5A and waiving the rules to vote on. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion passed. Thank you, Travis. Action item 6A. Presentation by BHP and council consideration to approve resolution number 1895, adopting development agreement number DEV-2025-0101 between the City of Globe and BHP Copper Incorporated regarding the BHP Roundabout project on Hospital Drive in support of the buttress project at the Solitude Tailings Facility. And we'll have BHP here. We have Luis on the also named. Shelley, can you read resolution 1895, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Resolution number 1895, a resolution of the Mayor and Council of the City of Globe, a municipal corporation in Gila County, Arizona, approving entry into a into a development agreement with BHP Copper for the installation of the roundabout project on Hospital Drive in support of the buttress project at the Solitude Tailings Facility and for the provision of the city-provided utility services to the said development. Is council pleased with that reading?
Yes.
Yes.
And please introduce yourself, I'm sorry.
I'm Rahul Peror. I'm the program manager for Legacy Assets. I manage tailings facilities across the Globe Miami region.
Mayor Council, thank you for your time. My name is Jim Ryan with Stantec Consulting. I'm a senior civil engineer and engineer of record overseeing the construction of this project.
Thank you.
Okay.
All yours.
So just to give a 1-minute overview of the Solitude project, the project was basically initiated last year primarily to construct a buttress to prevent any potential failure during large seismic earthquake events in terms of 1 in 10,000 year large events. This roundabout project is basically an enabler project to that. It's the prime focus of the project requires hauling rock from an external source, and the prime focus was safety of the community so that it's not interfere with the traffic and we have a safe route to the construction site. Having said that, I'll have you take it.
Yeah, no, and I'll go ahead and add in there. We were asked to do a little bit of a presentation on some of the technical aspects of this, but I figured give just a very brief overview of kind of how we got to the point where we're at here. So when BHP identified that they need to relocate that amount of rock armor for the project there, they contracted with us to take a look at what it would take to transport that material to the project site safely and the route that it would be taken in order to get that material there. So we conducted a number of studies in order to facilitate that. We started with a traffic impact analysis of a lot of the local roads in the area to try to identify what route would be kind of ideal to get down to that. To the project site. In conjunction with that, we also performed a pavement condition analysis on the potential routes to the site. We did that on the slide here, utilizing the RT3000 pavement analyzing. I apologize, it's not my forte, but using LiDAR and different sensors on the vehicle, it measures cracks, pavement condition. It measures surface distress, takes a lot of imagery and measures kind of the rutting of the road to get a rough idea of what the existing condition of that is and comes up with a value for that. We also utilized what's called a falling weight deflectometer. It helps us determine the load-bearing capacity of it. So without great records on the as-built of the roads, to put it simply, we drive a truck down there with a trailer and it drops a hammer on the road and a seismograph reads what the reverberation is and gives us an idea of how strong the subgrade is underneath that asphalt. And then we ran ground penetrating radar along that as well to understand what the structural section of the existing roadways were. So kind of put all of this together to try to understand what the different roadways and the infrastructure's capacity to handle the construction traffic and the haul traffic might be. So kind of taking all this information together, we look to identify the route that would have the least impact to the community and to the infrastructure for the community, and that's how we settled on Hospital Drive through Bessich and the east access for the hospital there. Go this. As part of that study, we did identify 2 improvements that we felt would be necessary to try to protect the city's infrastructure. The first one was Hospital Drive. The goal for Hospital Drive is to leave that in the same or better condition than what we found it prior to the construction here. The original condition, as part of the analysis that we performed, indicated that it had roughly a service life, or at least a section of it, I should say, not the entire thing, but I believe it was the northbound lanes on Hospital Drive between Cherokee and the hospital had roughly a 1.5-year service life remaining. This is about a year ago before it would fall into a state of a pretty bad disrepair. If we put our haul trucks on it, that reduced to about 7 months. And with that in mind, didn't quite feel comfortable with that, so the decision was made to do some preemptive remediation and rehabilitation of that roadway so that it could support the haul traffic and the vehicle traffic for the construction project. It's better to do that before a road falls into full failure. So we jumped on that pretty quick here towards the end of last year. What we did was a mill and fill operation on that roadway with a geotextile interlayer. So one of the prime things that causes asphalt to fail is getting water into the subgrade. That's why as the road starts to crack, you start to see the alligator cracking and things. Potholes come quick, and that's why potholes tend to congregate in an area, because as that subgrade gets soft, the repeated stress is there. So what we did is we went ahead and milled off the top 2 inches of that surface. We put down a water-resistant geofabric to help prevent any water from infiltrating into the subgrade, and then repave that 2 inches back on top. So hopefully that geotextile will help delay reflective cracking from coming to the surface and delay excess moisture from getting into the subbase. We're estimating that we've potentially extended with the traffic the life of that road by about 5 years. I'll say it's a little iffy. The section of that road as we pulled it up was a little inconsistent in some areas. We found some thin sections and we found some thick sections of asphalt in there. Where we found thin sections, we went ahead and reinforced those as we went as well too. So do our best there. Go ahead, thank you very much. The second location we identified was the intersection of Bessich and Hospital Drive. It was an interesting intersection. The traffic configuration there, I personally sat there for about a week while we were doing some other things and witnessed quite a few close calls and interesting traffic encounters at that particular intersection. BHP and us weren't overly comfortable with the idea of putting a large amount of construction traffic through that intersection in that particular configuration. Additionally, as I'm sure your Public Works Department found out, the left-hand turn off of Hospital Drive onto Bessich right there wasn't ideal, and if I had to guess, you guys have probably replaced a lot of stop signs at that corner over the years. We, in conjunction and consultation with the hospital and the local stakeholders and the unique geometry of all of the different accesses into that location, determined that a roundabout was the most appropriate way to handle all of the access through that intersection, and so we commenced design on that roundabout there, or working with the hospital. As you can see in the picture, it should be dressed up a little bit as we go through the process here, but we're looking forward to that. Structural design-wise, I know there's been a lot of discussion related to the asphalt and how that will handle. When we did the falling weight deflectometer through the project, we we had different estimates of the strength of the subgrade in that area, and we designed the pavement section based on that information. We assumed about a 610 easel, so kind of go briefly through the bottom portion of this, because I'm using a technical term, but an easel is an equivalent single axle load, which is an 18 kip load on the back of a tractor trailer rig. One pass of that truck is one easel. Your passenger car barely touches a road in general, whereas the tractor trailer rig, let's say a 20-ton load, is about a 1 easel load on it, and a 5-axle semi-truck, the really big interstate guys that are sitting there at what I refer to as a max federal load, where, just before you get to a permit situation is about 3 easels. I'd estimate the trucks we're gonna run on this sort of somewhere between about a 1 and 1.5 easel per truck on here. But we estimated the 20-year from the traffic study plus the construction traffic, we needed about 610,000 easels in order to have a standard 20-year service life for that roadway. And that is and I'll refer to that as a properly maintained roadway. We'll get a 20-year service life that's, your crack sealing and things like that to help, because asphalt's gonna crack over time, especially as it ages. When we went back and did some additional analysis with empirical data from the soils, we ran some of our analysis in here. So we designed for 610,000 easels. The material, we tested the specific materials that we've brought in, the design for the asphalt that we put in place. And here in the last few weeks, honestly, found that we're estimating that roadway can withstand somewhere between 1.3 million and 5.2 million easels in there. So we got about a factor of safety of 2 to 8 roughly on the design for that road. It's stout, to put it mildly. So now that's not to say that it's not going to shove a little bit. We are talking about a circle and running on it. As I've told BHP, concrete does two things really well. It gets hard, it cracks. Asphalt tends to shove, especially when it gets hot and you put loads on it and turning radiuses. So there's always going to be a little bit of that potential in there, but we're hoping that the structural capacity of that roadway is going to hold up to everything that we throw at it as part of this project here. So development agreement here is to put that together and accept that into the infrastructure. And then, does anybody have any questions? Mike, please.
So, once we take possession of the road, is BHP's gonna still be doing construction up on the tailings and using that roundabout and stuff with your heavy equipment, or?
That's correct. Our construction schedule is currently planned to go all the way through 2026. For the next 2 years, we'll be using that road, the whole material.
Okay. And will it be, the equipment that'll be going on that road that you guys are using will meet these weight requirements and everything? They won't exceed them or anything?
That's correct.
That we know?
That's correct. We are using a mix of, regular dump trucks and belly dump trucks for hauling rock to the site. Yeah.
No, I've lived this project myself, so I don't have any questions.
It'll look much better. How many trucks daily will be passing through that roundabout?
So we have, at the peak, we are doing a staged approach. We're starting with 6, and the maximum would be 24 trucks.
24 trucks a day, okay.
And 24 trucks making 3 trips a day.
3 trips a day.
3 trips a day.
75 trips through there.
So 10 to 12 trucks an hour, roughly.
Wow. Okay. Wow. And you're using the road to exit out through where Southwest Gas is? Is that the road you're using or coming in? Or are you going through the?
Correct.
Okay, so you're not going the other direction, you're going through the main road, okay. Yeah. Once you guys are done with your mediation and the dirt moving, is the intention to cover that with some greenage, the mountainside? Is that what, kind of like what Freeport did with their tailings? Is that what happens?
To prevent erosion, we'll be putting some rock layers to prevent erosion.
So, yeah, because it kind of looks bare right there with the panels, and
Correct.
you can see it, it kind of sticks out. So it'll be covered up to once you're done with the whole project.
That's right.
Okay. And I guess our contract, it'll be tested once you're done by your group and by a group that will.
Yeah, I apologize, I was supposed to mention that. So the same battery of tests that we put the roadway through prior to this, we've committed to after the walk haul, perform the same test to help us determine if everything is holding up the way that we had anticipated it to.
Gotta ask Luis, you good, Luis?
Yeah.
Luis, would you like to make a comment? I just wanted to mention that BHP has been such a wonderful community partner to the city and to the region in so many different ways. And so working with BHP, with staff and their staff on this agreement, it's taken some time, but I think we're at a place that we can all feel comfortable moving forward.
No, they've been very good with us and really negotiating well, good. Luis?
Mr. Mayor and members of council. Part of this agreement also, considers having a test after the hauling is done. And there are certain stipulations there as far as depending on if the road, presents problems. There are certain conditions there as far as the percentage of the road damaged, how it's going to be repaired. And so, the agreement includes that. And even after that, DHP said that even out of the agreement, they will still be in the community for a long time, and they will still be able to, get with us and help us if something comes up in the future. So, we are confident with
Yeah, no, they've been great partners. They're part of the community and really investing a lot in us. You bet. Okay. Any other questions or comments? No.
Mr. Mayor, I have one more question.
Go ahead, Mike.
When you finish this construction project completely on the tailings and everything, is Blue Lake still gonna be there?
Yeah, that's something that we haven't decided on the, right now the plan is yes.
Okay.
But that's something that we are still evaluating. Is there any risk or is there any groundwater impact? The study is currently being evaluated right now.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if there are no other comments or questions, I'd like to make a motion to approve the final draft of resolution number 1895, pending the final legal review and approval development agreement, DEV 2025-0101, between the City of Globe and BHP Copper Incorporated regarding the BHP Roundabout project on Hospital Drive in support of the buttress project at the Solitude Tailings Facility.
Second.
Motion is second for item 6A. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you guys very much. Item B is consideration to approve becoming an additional partner to an existing good neighbor agreement between Resolution Copper Mining Incorporated and the town of Superior. Linda?
We have Brian Seppala in the audience, and
Wow.
thank you for staying, and we're excited to see this move forward and to be your partner in this, so we invite you up to the podium. Thank you, Brian.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, and audience. Thanks again for the opportunity to briefly speak on the Good Neighbor Agreement. As you remember from a few weeks ago, we presented this opportunity for the city, what it meant, and what the involvement would be for the city. And we are just honored and excited that you guys are gonna, will consider to approve to become that additional party to the agreement as we continue to build out that long-term relationship. So,
Great.
happy to answer any additional questions you might have from the last meeting, but I think we covered quite a bit last time.
And I think part of the agreement mainly is about communication and support. That's basically what it,
Yep.
not any on the political side, but just support and communication. And I think Freddie, did you volunteer to be on that committee? So Freddie will be our representative from the city, from the
Perfect.
city council.
It strictly is a means of two-way dialogue and a good faith of longstanding communication for the life of the project. And any commitments that the project has made, this agreement helps uphold those for the duration.
Great.
So, and we look forward to having Freddie as the potential member. With that being said, we do meet quarterly. Tomorrow night is our next meeting, so I don't expect.
Get there.
Wow.
Get there, buddy.
Open my mouth, huh?
You're welcome to attend our Q3 meeting tomorrow night if you guys do approve the agenda item, but if not, we do also meet again in December, so.
Is that a daytime meeting or nighttime?
It's nighttime, 6 p.m.
Oh, okay.
You can work and then come to the meeting.
6 p.m. where at?
At the Superior Chamber in Superior, so, and we always provide dinner and it's a nice.
I'll be there. I heard dinner. Yeah, however this works out, I don't have, I should be able to attend.
Sounds good, Freddie. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if there are no other comments or questions, I motion to approve becoming an additional party to an existing good neighbor agreement between Resolution Copper Mining Incorporated and the Town of Superior.
Second.
Motion second for item 6B. Any further discussion?
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Just on the membership part, it's just an open invitation. There's no forms or anything that need to be processed.
No. Once you guys sign the agreement, then you guys are a party to the good neighbor agreement and then subsequently the community working group moving forward, so.
Okay, very good. Thank you. That's all. I just had a
Great.
question.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you, Brian. Next, we have consideration to approve the Resolution Copper Corporate Giving Grant Award number GO-24-66-05050 for $6,000, which will assist in funding the annual disc golf tournament for $1,000 and the City of Globe First Friday events for $5,000. And we have Connie and Brian's there. Go ahead, Connie.
Mayor, council, glad to come before you. This is the second time that this has been before you. However, we did have a revision in the agreement, so I just want to bring that to your attention. The porta potties are designated at $945.14 for that disc golf tournament. And the event trailer for First Friday is at $4,999.99, with the portion of tax being $54.87. And so, questions?
Questions?
No, I'm good. Fully understand. Resolution is a good partner.
Appreciate it.
My only additional comment on that would be, thanks again for applying for a corporate giving grant. And Connie, as mentioned last time, we do offer this to nonprofits and municipalities and schools within the 40-mile radius of the project. And as a city, you guys are eligible to apply, which you did. And you guys are also eligible to apply twice a year. So you still have, you can apply for a second grant before Q4, which would be in November. And then that kind of renews every year. You have the open chance to apply again next year as well, so.
Yeah, thank you to Resolution for that opportunity. Yep.
No other questions or comments, Mayor? I motion to approve item 6C as read.
Second?
We have motion second for approval of item 6C. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Item D is consideration to approve a memorandum of understanding between Gila County Provisional Community College District and the City of Globe Police Department to allow the police training equipment to be used by the college in their law enforcement training program. We have Steve.
Morning, Mayor, Council. First of all, I'd like to say we need to get cop-friendly chairs. I almost didn't get out of that one with this building. So I'd like to pass that motion right off. Thank you for hearing us this evening. So basically, this MOU or Memorandum of Understanding is the local college. They're trying to, we've been in the works with them for quite some time of trying to start our own local police academy, which my understanding is years ago they had one and it was really successful. So we're trying to kind of help them kickstart that again. So based on that, our hopes is that in the January or the semester starting in January that this college will be up and, or not the college, but the academy will be up and running by then. And but in order for them to do so, they need a little bit of help from the police department, not only with trainers, which our department has and other agencies, but with equipment. They don't quite have the money. Most of the equipment that would be covered under this MOU are small stuff. Defensive tactics equipment such as pads and different things like that. It's pretty low cost stuff. So this MOU is good for 1 year from the date it's approved and signed by the council and by the chief of police, who is obviously not here today, but very supportive of this program. So the community value to it is, with our participation though, is that we'll have a local academy again. It'll help with our recruitment and retention so that we can hire local people to work for our police department, and then they'll stay here and they'll have more of a commitment to our city and a little more ties. So that's gonna really help us to do that. It also helps with a lot of expenditures that we have sending people out of town to the academy. They can kind of do more locally here now. So our recommended motion is to approve the memorandum of understanding between the Gila County Provisional Community College District and the City of Globe Police Department to allow police training equipment to be used by the college in their law enforcement training program.
Just some comments, Mr. Mayor. I thoroughly support this, if only to save everyone time and travel and other travel costs to other parts of Arizona. And maybe this will be a hub for our responders to support in the region. I'm really looking forward to that. Save us all some wear and tear and time and trouble. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Freddie?
Yeah, I would just like to congratulate you, Chief Walters, the entire staff. It wasn't long ago when we were going through some stresses with our police department, and the community just was having a difficult time, and we were hearing a lot about it. And just over the, I'll call them short few years, the progresses that your department has made in this community, regained and built the trust within the community. Built some amenities for, and if maybe they're not amenities, but some shelters for victims. It's not just policing what you've done, but you've created a safety net for this community. And then to see this is just, another example of the great work that you and your department are doing. We talked about growing our own here. There was a conversation a year or two about how we're going to facilitate our staff and keep them here. And I just hope this translates into something like that, where we get the interest where our kids grow up here and they know that they can get groomed here and trained here. They don't have to travel, and hopefully they stay here for a long time policing. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Council.
Mr. Mayor, if there's no further discussion, I would make a motion to approve a memorandum of understanding between the Gila County Provisional Community College District and the City of Globe Police Department to allow the police training equipment to be used by the college in their law enforcement training program.
Second. Motion second for approval of item 6D. Any further discussion? Just a quick side note. I remember when they used to have the academy, we used to pull the engine out, put the mats up, cook some popcorn, and pull our chairs out while you guys beat yourself to death. In the physical part of it, I remember that. We really enjoyed it at the fire department.
Fortunately for Mr. Mayor, for me, that was 24 years ago.
Was it?
24 years
Was
ago.
it?
I could barely get out of the chair, so you won't be seeing me.
I remember that when Bernie Olfig was part of it, and it was some fun times watching that.
Oh my gosh.
We have we have motion second for approval of item 6D. So I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion passes. Item 6E. Consideration to approve grant agreement number GF-24-57-05003 with the State of Arizona Department of Emergency and Military Affairs in the amount of $333,320 for human trafficking This grant will be received through account number 20-42-08-195 and expensed through account number 20-570-08195, utilizing activity code number 157004. Lieutenant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm going to try to break this down because it's a pretty extensive grant. So this grant was actually authored originally by myself and Shelley with the Advocacy Center a long time ago. And really, the state, they got busy and they kind of drug their feet on a little bit, but it's finally come to fruition. And so we have been approved by the state for this grant. Also, I'd like to add that Connie took it on since then and really got the wheels in motion on this thing and got it solidified for the city. So we really appreciate all of her hard work and Eric's. So basically, like you said, Mr. Mayor, this grant, the first award is for $333,320. This is a non-reimbursable, or I'm sorry, this is a no-match grant for the city. Cost us nothing. This is a reimbursable grant. So in other words, we don't get any money up front. We will be submitting invoices, and by contract, once we submit the invoice, the state will reimburse us for what we've invoiced for, hopefully within 30 days. The things that this grant covers, it was in your packet, but to kind of break it down, one of the main things it covers is the 33% of the salary for the director, which is Shelley, for the grant manager, for our victim advocate, 33% of the salary for a detective who will investigate these types of crimes. It also will reimburse us so we can get more of the license plate reader cameras, and I believe it covers a total of nine, yeah. So 6 stationary and 3 more of the mobile license plate readers that'll all be paid for. I need to back up a little bit because this is a 2-year grant. So it reimburses us 33%, for instance, of the salaries and employee-related expenses, benefits, so on, for 2 years. Again, it covers the victim advocate salary for $38,272 for 2 years. On top of that, it also covers a lot of our training experience, our training expenses that would be part of the human trafficking grant, conferences that they might go to, detectives might go to learn more about this type of activity and how to investigate it. Also covers a lot of your daily expenses like computers and different things and software systems that we need for victim tracking and such. So that's kind of really the gist of this grant. And like I said, it's been in the works for quite some time. Some important facts to know about it, though, is this grant, it actually goes back to July 1st of 2023. So once, if the council approves it, we can start submitting invoices from back in July 1st of 2023 and start getting reimbursed for all of the things that I named, up into December 31st of 2026. It continues. So it's a pretty significant amount of money spread around throughout the different departments and stuff that we'll need. So with that said, I'm asking the council to please pass a motion to approve grant agreement GF-24-57-05003, which is the Arizona DEMA grant for the amount of $333,320 for human trafficking.
Any questions or comments?
Just some comments, sir. This is a hot topic out there. There was a movie to this effect about a year and a half ago that was quite popular, showing the abuses and the trafficking. I want to point out that the equipment and training that this will give us will be a little more on the ball. The last time we bought license plate reading cameras, there were some complaints. I support the equipment that is needed. to help slow down this trafficking. It's very important to me that we support all the aspects of this program. In fact, I think we're kind of flying blind in this region. We're so busy chasing other types of crime. This is one that I think has slipped by. And so we need to be as aggressive as possible, and also in the sharing of the information. I've been out of the loop for a while. I don't know if the state still has a fusion center in Phoenix. If it does, I'm sure you'll tie in with everyone concerned to pass this information along at the state level and the federal level.
So if I may, Mr. Councilman, the license plate reader system, if there's a human trafficking case in Atlanta, Georgia, and they think that all they have to do is see where that license plate went through, and if it's in Globe, they'll pick it up. We share it nationally. So it's a huge system, and it's not just for that. We detect a lot of crime.
Yeah.
What's cool is we're the first agency in the state to get the grant for the license plate readers for this. And they saw that, wow, this is a huge value to everybody, so.
Yeah, because that element tries to sneak under the radar as much as possible. And that's the history of crime in the state. Get out to the hinterlands and you won't be noticed. Well, we want that message to go out that, yes, you will be noticed, and we will trade information, and we'll run it down. So that's the comment I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor, if no other comments or questions, I'd like to motion to approve grant agreement number GF-24-57-05003, AZDEMA, in the amount of $333,220 for human trafficking.
320.
Second.
Motion second for approval of item 6E. Is there any further discussion? Just a comment, just because we live in a small rural community doesn't mean human trafficking isn't here.
Yeah.
So it's great to see this come to,
Yeah.
stay on top of all this. Thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. Item F, consideration to approve change order number 3 to contract number CS-2022-0010 with Meridian Engineering for the Upper Pinal Creek Bridge and Hill Street Corridor Project. This change order in the amount of $116,503.30 is for the grade adjustment and additional construction. Funding for this change order will come from the account number 12-80-52201 Capital Improvement Pinal Creek Bridge. Luis.
Mr. Major, members of council, this is part of the additional work that Meridian had to do to readjust the deck elevations because there were some miscalculations on those grades, and we caught it, on time before the actual concrete was poured. Because if we didn't, then it'll be a big issue. But there was additional work that they had to do, and this also, caused some delays in the project. Like about 2 more months in redesign and 2 more months and a half in reconstruction. So initially, Meridian submitted change order for $180,000. We negotiated with them. They resubmitted at $156,000, and they resubmitted at $124,000, and now we are at $116,000. So this was not just the first shot. We really made a good job lowering this dollar amount. So that's why we're presenting it tonight to you for approval, so we can pay Meridian for that additional work.
Luis, I think I read on there, is that it isn't a cost of the city, EPS is covering this cost?
This is gonna go to EPS. So we're paying now because we are, under the contract.
Okay.
But then we would recoup from EPS.
Okay.
There are some
Well,
other
that's what it
orders. There are some other conversations that we're having with EPS, some other issues that we haven't totaled, the right amounts that we need to present them. But one of the things that I think they're gonna be happy with is that we just didn't took the very first change order and pass it on to them for $180,000. So, you know, we really did our best to lower it as much as possible. And in a way, there is already verbal, you know, conversations there about what happened, and they are, you know, accepting that there was a mistake in their part. So this shouldn't be a problem.
I just have a comment, Mr. Mayor. Thank goodness for this engineer and Jerry, our previous engineer, for holding contractors' feet to the fire. We want this bridge to last a long time, and so far so good. We've been unfortunately having to catch them at certain activity levels, but I'm hopeful, Luis, that you'll keep an eye on them.
And we're sorry now with a lot of our community members that are going through, you know, the hazard of having to go around on Wallaman because the road is closed. But we have a lot of work to do on that side too, and we want to get it done, you know, all at the same time before we open, instead of having, you know, closures for 2 weeks and then open and then go back and like that. So,
Mike is good.
Mike, go ahead.
Luis, how long is the road gonna be closed?
10 weeks.
10 weeks? Okay, because I've already gotten complaints about it, and I said, well, it's gonna be shut down for a while. And the other question was, if we should get a big gully washer, how are those people gonna get across?
well, in that case, we will have to, you know,
Open it back up?
open the closure and use flaggers and accommodate the traffic, you know, if it is one lane at a time or something while the water stops flowing, you know.
Yeah, I thought it was 6 weeks, so I gotta call them back and tell them, no, it's gonna be 10 weeks.
Mayor.
Yes.
Council, we did put out an updated PSA that does address that, if there were to be a weather event. We monitored the chatter going on Facebook and the calls that we were getting.
Okay.
And so we responded with an updated PSA.
Yeah, and actually, you know, this time of the year is when we get less rain events, you know, September, October, you know, and that's why we decided to do it for those 10 weeks before we start getting, you know, rain or snow or anything like that.
Good. Linda, those PSAs, are they going out in the paper or social media? I mean, I guess
We have
whatever method we can do.
Social media, all of the radio stations, papers, and all of our socials, which include Twitter, Instagram, Nextdoor, Facebook.
Good.
I have a lot of constituency who doesn't use Facebook and all that kind of stuff, so.
Newspaper.
Newspaper and radio.
Yeah, where's that newspaper?
Great.
Okay,
Any other
Mr. Mayor,
questions?
if there's no further discussion, I would make a motion to approve change order number 3 to contract number CS 2022-0010 with Meridian Engineering for the Upper Pinal Creek Bridge and Hill Street Corridor Project. This change order in the amount of $116,503.30 is for grade adjustment and additional support construction. Funding for this change order will come from account number 1280-52201, Capital Improvement Canal Creek Bridge.
Second?
Motion and second for approval, item 6F. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you, Luis. Item G, consideration and possible approval of South Source Well Contract Number CA-2025-0099 for the purchase of a 900 Eco 9-yard truck-mounted combination sewer cleaner in the amount of $599,432.18 to be funded out of account number 51-80-5200 wastewater capital outlay equipment. Travis.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. As you know, in July of 2023, the previous jetter truck was in an unfortunate accident and was deemed a total loss. And so since then, every time we needed a jetter truck for whatever situation that was out there, it would cost us about $5,000 every call. And so there could be months where you have several calls, so that amount, you know, can build up. And so we found out that we are a member of Sourcewell, which is a municipal contracting agency that we're a member of. And that allowed us to kind of move forward without having to go through the lengthy procurement process. And it also gives us a 3% discount. So with the amount that these trucks cost, that's a pretty significant discount that we can get. And so the request tonight is to actually purchase the jetter truck that's been long coming, and so we can get it back on the road and using it where it's needed. So I'm happy to answer any questions with the.
Travis, is there an insurance amount we received from that truck?
We received $107,318 from the previous truck. And if I recall, the previous truck had cost $250,000, so inflation has obviously gone up a lot since we purchased
Is that 107 part of the 599? Or
It is. So the other portion is about $492,000.
Okay.
Question.
Mike, go ahead.
How old was the Jeter truck that was destroyed?
I believe it was purchased in 2007. I can't recall the full history, but I believe it was somewhere around there, 2007-ish.
Mr. Mayor, if there's no further discussion, I would make a motion to approve Sourcewell contract number CA 2025-0099 for the purchase of a 900 ECO 9-yard truck-mounted combination sewer cleaner in the amount of $599,432.18 to be funded out of account number 51-80-52000 wastewater capital outlay equipment.
Second. Motion and a second for approval of item 6G. Linda, question on that. That is a budgeted amount on the capital outlay?
Yes.
Not coming out of fund balance or anything. That is in the budget amount. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Oh, Freddie, you got a question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, what's the turnaround on getting this truck? Do you know?
I think it's about 6 to 8 months, because I think they have to construct it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's still a pretty lengthy turnaround, but I want to say about 6 months.
Okay.
6 to 8 months.
Just curious.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you, Travis. Item H, consideration to renew contract number PS-2023-0020-3 for on-call civil engineering and professional support services with Sunrise Engineering as needed through June 30th, 2025, in an amount not to exceed $80,000 to be funded out of account number 10-61-51234, Public Works Contractual Services, number 50-80-51234, Water Contractual Services, and number 51-80-51234, Wastewater Contractual Service and possible WIFA reimbursement, annual grant reimbursement. Travis.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. So just to give you a heads up, the next 5 agenda items are about renewing our on-calls. So the information I'm about to say is going to account for all 5. So in November of 2022, an RFQ process, the request for statement of qualifications, was started. And after going through the selections, these were the on-calls that were selected in 2023. And so this is the first year renewal of 2 possible renewal years. And so we're just wanting to renew Sunrise for the on-call for civil engineering and professional services for another up to $80,000 for fiscal year 25.
Question for you, Travis or Linda, have we ever really gotten to the 80,000 on any of these contracts? I don't know. I know these are all renewals. We've had them for over a year.
So, sorry,
Go ahead.
Linda. So if I may, I've been tracking that since I've come to Globe. And so most of them are under the 80,000 pretty significantly. So it's just if we have an item that we can identify for them to do, that's when they get a portion of that. So, and it's been funded under various grants that we've received too. And so that's been helpful, but yeah, each one cannot exceed 80,000, whether it's budgeted or not. It depends when grants come through in some cases.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions?
Other questions or comments, Mayor? I motion to approve 6H as read.
Second.
Motion second for approval of item 6H as read. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. Item I is consideration to renew contract number PS-2023-0020-1A for on-call civil engineering professional support services with Richard Powers as needed through June 30th, 2025, in the amount not to exceed $80,000 to be funded out of accounts number 10-61-51234, Public Works Contractual Services, number 50-80-51234, Water Contractual Services, and number 51-80-51234, Wastewater Contractual Service with possible WIFA reimbursement and or grant reimbursement. Travis.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Same information. It's just now for Richard Powers for civil engineering and professional support services.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Fred.
And, never mind, I just read it. It's same amount, 80,000.
80,000.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to approve item I as read.
Second.
Motion second for approval of item 6I as read. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Item J, consideration to renew contract number PS-2023-0020-2 for on-call civil engineering and professional support services with EPS Group through June 30th, 2025, in an amount not to exceed $80,000 to be funded out of accounts 10-61-51234, Public Works Contractual Services, number 51-80-51234, Water Contractual Services, and 51-80-51234, wastewater contractual service, possible WIFA reimbursement and or grant reimbursement.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Again, same information, up to $80,000, but this time for EPS Group for on-call civil engineering and professional support services.
No other questions or comments, Mayor? I motion to approve item 6J as read.
Second.
Motion second for approval of item 6J as read. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Item K is consideration to renew contract number PS-2023-0023-2A for on-call engineering survey services with EPS Group through June 30th, 2025, in the amount not to exceed $80,000 to be funded out of account number 10-61-51234, Public Works Contractual Services, number 50-80-51234, Water Contractual Services, and number 51-80-51234, Wastewater Contractual Services with possible WIFA reimbursements and or grant reimbursements. Travis.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. $80,000, but this time it's for engineering survey services with EPS Group.
Travis, I think it'd be good to mention kind of the background in these agenda items, that these are just continuation of our relationships and our contracts with current vendors that help us, that assist us in our work that we do with our major infrastructure projects. It helps us to expand our bandwidth within staff so that we can do more, faster, better.
Yeah, so usually when we have a possible award of a grant, we sometimes need to get design work done prior, so that helps us to apply for construction funds. So we will go after our on-calls professional services to do some of that design to get ahead of the work. Or if we need to get some kind of an estimate, they can do that for us packed with additional work in-house. And so there's been cases we needed to get some surveying done. In the case with the library, we used our on-call to survey the two lots to eventually combine them together.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments, Mayor? I motion to approve item 6K as read.
Second.
Motion approval for agenda item 6K as read. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Item L, consideration to review contract number PS-2023-0023-2B for on-call engineering survey services with Sunrise Engineering through June 30th, 2025, in the amount not to exceed $80,000 to be funded out of accounts number 10-61-51234, Public Contractual Services, 50-80-51234, Water Contractual Services, and 51-80-51234, Wastewater Contractual Service and possible WIFA reimbursement and or grant reimbursement. Travis.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. This is actually the second on-call for Sunrise, but this one is specifically for engineering services as well, for the amount of $80,000.
Motion to approve 6L is read, Mayor.
Second.
Motion is second for approval of item 6L is read. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Travis.
Thanks, Travis.
Finally, another item.
Connie, you're our closer.
6M, consideration to approve grant agreement number GF-23-61-49854 with the U.S. Department of Transportation for the 2023 Safe Streets and Roads for All Grant Program in the amount of $124,846 received through account number 20-42-08193, including a City of Globe match of $31,212 funded through account number 12-80-5220, capital outlay construction for a total project amount of $156,058. Connie.
Good evening, Mayor Council. Glad to come before you again with the contract this time on this grant award. And this, I would like to remind council how important that this grant will be to our town, because we'll be able to, it's a demonstration grant, so we'll be able to use possible low pricing but high impact dollars to narrow our corridor and help our struggling pedestrians, and then also adopting the Vision Zero initiative that goes along with this grant. The other best thing about this is after we have a demonstration for the crosswalks and with maybe some recycled materials, signage, planters, anything, plastic delineators. If we use all of those constructively and we have a demonstration period and we gather the data and have public engagement, and that's one of the key items in this grant is the public engagement piece. We will end this grant with a full plan for an implementation grant to seek an implementation grant for millions of dollars for the entire city. So this is the Broad Street corridor, our downtown district, and it's our formal demonstration corridor. And so that's where we'll be using all of the above mentioned items along with the Vision Zero strategy. And then also that's where we'll collect all the data and the public engagement just on this corridor. So then if you can imagine being able to apply for millions of dollars for all of our 18.2 square mile streets, that could be the sky's the limit type thing.
Amazing.
Questions?
I just want to thank Connie for all the work done on this grant. I know it's been going on probably a year now. With a lot of information gathered and meetings and just trying to get to this point. I guess the initial is going to be public input. It's going to be important to initiate this program, and it's for 2 years. And it's really temporary until we can prove with our data that we can move forward with our long-term plan to make it permanent. And really it's about making our downtown streets safer by narrowing. You talked about crosswalks and different methods to make it a safer place, because narrow the streets, the slower people drive basically, and that's a big key to it. So it's about decreasing fatalities and injuries on our streets.
Great. And I'd like to also add that we received the public forum and the training through National League of Cities. So without their guidance, and they actually brought the Department of Transportation to the table, and I actually had a monitor that would assess the plan, so we would meet as a team, and then I would go back to the monitor and he would give instruction, hey, this is, you know, you've got a kind of wonky corridor, so he called it wonky. I didn't, I thought it was nice. He also notified me that I had my own bridge because he saw on the Google Air thing that it's called Connie's Bridge. I said, oh, okay. So anyway, you know, we had a lot of great interaction with the U.S. Department of Transportation. And I also would like to note that we haven't had a Department of Transportation grant in like 10 years. So this is direct federal dollars to our city. So I'm pretty happy about that. Hope you're happy about it too. But also, I think that this is the first time that we're gonna be able to really engage our public and say, we're gonna demonstrate in this corridor, and these are the things that we can possibly choose from. And then we're gonna do the feasibility, and then we're going to demonstrate for the period of time designated in the contract. And then I do wanna make the point that everything is temporary and it has to be taken down after the closure of the grant, and then it can be put back up. But everything in the demonstration grant is made to be temporary.
And one other comment is we also got the ASU students that were here.
Yes.
They designed and provided us with some renderings on some of their ideas, which was kind of neat if we get a chance to ever see those. So that's part of all the program. It's really neat.
That'd be nice to see.
And just to dovetail off of that, some of the renderings that the ASU students did, that they were so close to the things that we were being shown in the classroom, that if we could have just gotten the two of them together, that would have been wonderful. But they were tracking the same thing that the DOT was putting out, so.
Great.
Just a comment, Mr. Mayor, I enjoy traveling anytime, day or night, through that part of town. It's busy, day or night, the traffic is there, and we kind of engineered it that way, encouraging tourism and all the other projects we've been on. So I think it's the ideal corridor to study, and hopefully we'll be able to apply lessons learned to other parts of the city. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other comments, questions?
No comment, Mayor. If there are no other comments, I'm a motion to approve item 6M as read.
Second.
A second. We got a motion second for item 6M. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining?
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Connie.
you, Connie.
Nice work.
Number 7, late agenda items. Any late agenda items? We have one. We have our second call to the public. Do we have anybody online or a speaker card? Okay.
Hand this to us and but not speak.
Sorry. Cause I'm not trying to put that all out there.
What do you want to say?
But those, you guys can keep those, all of them. They're all the same thing.
Is this regarding an agenda?
This it has to be served to you and council. But I don't wanna, like, we're flipping out about paint colors.
Yeah, I don't think it's appropriate to take this kind of action with
As a call to the public?
through a call to the public.
Okay, am I able to serve the council?
Not during this meeting.
Okay, so then when would be the appropriate time?
We're open from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Okay, so I can come in during the day?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was under the understanding I had to serve the whole, as
No,
one.
it's not on the agenda, so we don't
It's
want to
not
do
about
that.
paint, but it's not.
We good?
Okay.
Thank you, huh?
Thank you.
Nobody online or on email?
No, sir.
Scheduling the meetings, do we have anything to change or anything? Think we're good?
Good.
Okay, future agenda items, anybody have any future agenda items?
No.
Call a motion for adjournment.
Motion made.
Second.
Motion second to adjournment, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
So as far as